Right, guys, we have the confirmation about the big kaboom which happened in Crimea. Several of the fighter jets of the enemy were totally eliminated together with the fuel or ammunition facility in the place. I'm speaking about the Belbek Airfield close to Sevastopol. So this shot was taken several days ago and it is today. We can clearly see some of the kabooms in the area. At least 1, 2 and 3. This is the row of the Russian fighter jets, mostly Sukhoi-27, but by that time there were also MiG-31 airplanes parked. It is very important to target those airplanes because they may carry Kinjal hypersonic missiles. Plus, Russia is unable to produce them. Those were designed and produced in the Soviet Union, and Russia lost the capabilities, the factories, and basically everything to continue to develop those. But what they might do with MiG-31 is to modernize those airplanes with modern avionics and other tools. So this is the other parking spot for MiG-31s, and as you can see, there was the kaboom of one of the parking spots. Russia constantly changes the positions of their airplanes. After each flight they try to do it, but Ukraine has almost live surveillance by satellites presented to Ukraine by our Western allies, so Ukrainian military knew where the Russian airplanes were parked, and after that they conducted the attack during the night time. Also, as I already showed you before, the Russian air defense systems were targeted, which were located not far away from the Belbek Airfield, I would say on a territory of the airfield, but the site of taxiways and aprons. I don't know, maybe I forget something. Yeah, hello my friends and welcome. My name is Dennis and this is the latest update from Ukraine. According to the information coming from the Russian side, definitely Russia lost at least 4 of the airplanes because of the strike, and 2 of those airplanes are MiG-31s. Moreover, yesterday Ukraine launched one more attacking strike on the particular airfield once again, so probably we're still waiting for the new update of the satellite images. Also, the airfield itself is now being paralyzed because Ukraine targeted the fuel storages and fuel facilities of this very important airfield in Crimea. I would say the most important one because Russia constantly used this one for the strikes on Ukrainian territory with their MiG-31s and Sukhois. Right, and here we have some more of the very detailed images of Belbek Apron, the military airfield. Here you may see the remains of the Russian fighter jet, one more fighter jet on the south of the apron, and the local fuel storage. Probably you can see it. Russia tried to create some sort of the ground fence around it, but it didn't help. Probably every Russian aircraft that was able to fly left this airfield to the other one. And here we go with the other Russian fighter jet. And I'm sure that it is the Sukhoi Su-30 that was probably severely damaged and was unable to leave the airfield with its own power. Totally Analytics confirmed that 2 of the MiG-31 airplanes were kaputted, at least 1 Sukhoi-27 and 1 MiG-29, but it's not MiG-29, it's Sukhoi Su-30. Double-seater with this tail, it's clearly Sukhoi Su-30, so it was damaged. And the debris on the apron belonged to the MiG-31. So after all, I think that this strike was successful for Ukraine, and definitely the Russian air defense is unable to cope with attacks. My friends, just a short break here. If you want to support my daily job, you may join my Patreon page. It is available with a link in the video description just below, or you may just scan the QR code available on the screen. My friends, thank you so much for your awesome support. And now let's go to the front lines update, because the situation in Kharkiv changes with every day. For now it's getting hotter, more intense and more difficult for Ukrainian army, obviously because Russia sends more and more resources, for example to Vovchansk, which as you can see is partially in the gray area. So we have the timeline, it was yesterday and it is today. So Russians were successful in taking this part under their control, but sometimes they enter some of the other streets of the city. For now we may not say that they're controlling this part fully, but I think that in a couple of days they will establish full control over the northern part. What they need to do now is to cross this river that divides the city, and Ukraine needs to withdraw from this part. It will be done like that, I'm sure, and also blown up the bridges across the river. Those images are just for you to understand of what is happening in Vovchan city. It is under the constant Russian strikes. They continue to use the aviation gliding bombs, and it's their main tool to propel forward, so they constantly demolish Ukrainian positions and later on send their infantry. And as I say to you, according to the deep state military map reports, with the confirmation from Ukrainian drones, the fights are ongoing in this gray area. Today there were numerous of the news that I want to discuss with you. They touch the recent Russian offensive and possible future Russian offensive, for example, in Sumy region. Well, first of all, Zelensky visited Kharkiv and said that Ukraine needs at least 2 more of the Patriot systems to stop Russia from occupying the Kharkiv city. So clearly here Zelensky said that Ukraine may lose Kharkiv if it doesn't receive 2 of the air defense systems, Patriots. All we need are the 2 Patriot systems. Russia will not be able to occupy Kharkiv if we have them, Zelensky said to an interview with ABC News. Well, I honestly think that even though Ukraine done some of the mistakes in defending the Kharkiv region, but Russia has not enough forces to occupy Kharkiv with or without Patriot air defense systems. I think that Zelensky says like that because he needs, so Ukraine also needs, the Patriot systems. So he says like, give it to us right now, otherwise there could be some of the circumstances that we would not like to have, but it doesn't mean that definitely Russia is capable to attack Kharkiv, successfully encircling it and also occupying. No. I think that on the West everyone understands that, but nevertheless the air defense systems will be delivered to Ukraine. I think one from the United States of America and the other one from Romania, and for sure one was negotiated with Germany, so Germany will totally send 3 of the Patriot systems to Ukraine since the start of the full-scale Russian invasion of Ukraine. What else we have about the topic? Well, Reuters says that Ukraine is getting ready for the full-scale Russian attack once again. They say that Russian units are being built up near Sumy region. Yes, guys, indeed, I also have the confirmation from many of the sources that definitely Russia sent more forces right at the border with Ukraine. And soon, I think in the coming days, they will be ready for the same strike as it happened in the Kharkiv Oblast. At the same time, analytics say that the attack of Russian forces on Kharkiv region looks like an attempt to draw the limited reserves of Ukrainian defense forces to battle before the start of the main summer offensive of the Russian army. So they want to force Ukraine to send more reinforcements to the Kharkiv region, to Sumy. At the same time, Russia will strike the eastern part of Ukraine with their main massive attack this summer. Unfortunately, from what we see, this plan for Russia really works. Ukraine is forced to send its reinforcements to Kharkiv to protect the city, to protect the area itself. The Guardian says that British intelligence warned Ukraine about the imminent Russian attack in Kharkiv Oblast, but Ukraine wasn't able to successfully repel that attack. It happened because of the several reasons. First of all, unprepared defense lines. Second, delay in the supply of the weapons. And third, the lack of the manpower, so the lack of the reserves of Ukraine. The United States of America has already delivered some of the weapons to Ukraine. ATACMS missiles, artillery shells are going to Ukrainian army, but still it's not enough. I think that in a couple of months, in July, Ukraine will be able to repel the Russian attacks. So more or less, Russia has 2 months of their advantage over Ukraine, and they try to use this time. What also helps Russia is the corruption in Ukraine and also in Ukrainian army. I've been speaking about it for 2 consecutive days, or maybe even 3 days, looking at the Kharkiv defense lines that were not built or were just useless because they were partially built. So here we have the official report of the Pentagon Inspector General Storch about the situation. This form was sent to the United States Congress. So here's the part of the text. The Ukrainian government has undertaken efforts to counter public corruption, but it continues to confront obstacles to transparency. Actually, the ongoing war with Russia has created new opportunities for corruption, including bribes, kickbacks, and inflated procurement costs within the military of defense. particularly for procurements of the lethal items, where there is limited transparency due to classification level of those purchases. Yeah, probably you remember the corruption scandals with the previous Ukrainian Defense Minister Reznikov, who organized the food supplies to the Ukrainian army for the prices which are 5 times higher than in the most expensive grocery store, and here they say about the lethal items. So classified units, and you are unable to find any sort of the public information of the cost of those. Recently I was speaking about the Russian army and the Russian Defense Minister Shoigu with his corrupt schemes, and here I don't see a huge difference. My friends, for me as for Ukrainian, it's very sad to see of what is happening in my country. Actually, Ukrainians have 2 of the enemies. One is Russia with their army, and the other enemy are the corrupt Ukrainian officials, including those who rule the country, I think, because for sure they know those schemes. I know why Anthony Blinken visited Ukraine recently. After Russia started the attack on Kharkiv region, I think our American friends, they see this stuff already without any sort of those reports. They see the corruption in Ukraine and also in Ministry of Defense. Guys, it's not the Russian propaganda, it is the official document created by American General Inspector of Pentagon, presented to Congress, and obviously we should speak about it because the lives of the soldiers really depend on fighting the internal fight against corruption, which is not done properly. I think that our partners, after all, will push Ukraine hard to cope with corruption. Otherwise, I think that Congress will not support Ukraine any longer with those kind of the reports. The corrupt Ukrainian officials are really putting Ukraine under the huge risk. So the United States government continue to provide technical assistance and training to Ukrainian investigators and prosecutors. The respective agencies hired more staff and brought more prosecutors during the quarter. So what could be the best case, as for me, for the United States and other allies, is to create their own military independent company to work with Defense Ministry of Ukraine and to monitor the Ukrainian Defense Ministry directly through those companies, also to send many more of the inspectors to Ukraine. The Russian propaganda says that Ukraine is controlled from outside. Well, guys, honestly, I would like it to happen. I would like our allies to take control over the staff of our Ukrainian Defense Ministry and any other Ukrainian ministries, because they're damn corrupt. And now some of you may call me that I'm spreading the Russian narrative, Russian bias. Guys, I took it also from the Ukrainian sources, independent sources, which also share this important information. It's already in the Western media, and I think that it is good that this information is publicly available. It's one more pressure on the Ukrainian government to finally reduce the corruption in Ukraine. More than 2 years of the war had passed already, and we still have the same problems. And luckily I am able to put some light on those issues, not being afraid of being detained. In some of the cases it might happen like that, but still I know that our allies are willing to support Ukraine in any case. According to the New York Times, NATO allies are moving closer to sending troops to Ukraine for the combat training. Ukraine has asked NATO to train around 150,000 recruits closer to the front line, so on Ukrainian territory. So far, the United States of America said no to this proposal, but the head of the Joint Chief of Staff said the deployment of NATO trainers appears imminent. And we have the prompt messages from our allies in France and Estonia that maybe they will send their instructors to Ukraine for the fast training of Ukrainian soldiers, to release the capabilities of Ukrainian army instructors who might fight directly on the front lines. As you see, one more red line is up to be crossed, the red line that is set by Putin. At first, our allies sent to Ukraine just helmets and bulletproof vests, after that javelins, then some of the light armored vehicles, artillery, tanks, HIMARS, now airplanes, and soon the NATO forces might be deployed in Ukraine. Yes, as they say, instructors, but what might happen during the next step? So not just Russia might escalate, and it is good. And again, if we return to our previous topic, the corruption, still I'm sure that Ukraine should be supported with military support, with actual units, actual artillery shells and goods, because corruption is not the issue of Ukrainian military army men, of Ukrainian civilians in general. We may blame the part of Ukrainian officials and some of the managers of Ukrainian Defense Ministry. Rhetorics about canceling the military support of Ukraine is very dangerous. After all, it may lead to the full occupation of Ukraine by Russia, and it is not profitable for our allies at all. So just because of that, it's worse to support Ukraine even longer. Not even telling about that Ukrainian people really need help to fight against Russia. Without the Western weaponry, it will be almost impossible. Guys, sorry we deviated quite a lot from the frontline topic. Well, today Russians also moved in Gleboke, so let's go to the timeline. It was yesterday. It is today just a light advancement of the gray zone. And in this place, Ukraine went on a counterattack. It's not yet successful, but from what I know, Ukraine sent some of the reinforcements trying to get Gleboke village back under control. So here we have this counterattack maneuver by Ukraine, but still according to the Moscow 73 analytic, Russia took lots of the ground, and with this attack vector by the Russian side, there is the risk for Ukrainian army in this place being encircled. So I think that Ukraine will leave this counterattack attempt and will go to Liptsy to defend the settlement. Yet we don't see this Russian advancement on a deep state military map, and if Russia takes Liptsy, well, it will be a huge problem for Ukraine. Basically, Liptsy will open the way for the Russian group to go to Kharkiv. But as I say to you, they do not have enough forces to attack that huge city. Well, they may try to do it, but they will lose. And this is the recent Russian advancement towards Vovchansk. There are heavy battles. Ukraine continued to cause Russian severe losses. And this is the zoomed-in image showing the Russian advancement directly towards the city center. As you know, the Russian delegation together with Putin is visiting China nowadays. They have lots of the talks with the Chinese authorities. So today Lavrov was asked by so-called Russian journalists, what are the next plans for the delegation, what's the next steps in the program. Lavrov responded that according to the Eastern saying, the guest is the donkey of a master, so it's up to master to decide. Saying so, Lavrov called Putin and basically all of the Russian delegation in Beijing a donkey. Even the Russian propaganda journalist was surprised about this comparison, the self-humiliation of the Russian delegation. Guys, there are some of the combat images that I'm unable to share with you because YouTube is kind of strict with that, but I have my Telegram channel. It is available with my personal link in the video description just below, so you may subscribe for my channel, and there I post those kind of the videos. For example, this is the Ukrainian Bradley that went on successful attack against the Russian forces in Avdiivka direction. Or there was the ambushed Russian convoy in Bakhmut direction, together with a Russian turtle tank that was stopped. About the Slovakian Prime Minister, despite getting 3 of the shots into his body, he is in stable condition. All of the surgeries were conducted as far as we know from the Deutsche Welle report. So Fico will leave for sure, but then he is going to perform his duties again, and whether he is still able to perform his duties as the Prime Minister, for now we're out of clue. My friends, please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so, you help me a lot, and I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.